DJ and PK proudly presented by our title sponsor, Black Desert Resort. We're joined now by David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz. David, good morning.
What could be better than a little DJ and PK in the morning, getting to chat with two of the legends of the business? There's one thing that could be better, and that's Janet Jackson as the lead-in when you're talking to DJ and PK in the morning.
You know it could be better?
Not having the fifth pick of the draft.
There it is. The number one pick in the draft would be better. Yeah. And yet again, number one slides to number 5, and there is outrage. But, David, the reason we have a lottery is so that the team can't dump games, lose games, and get the number one pick. This happened literally for the reason that it was designed to happen, which everybody's okay with until they're the ones sitting in the number one slot. Then it's terrible.
That's so funny. I just ended the podcast today, and that's literally the last thing I said is for all you out there that are like, this is fixed. The NBA sucks. I'm no longer following the NBA. No. The whole point by the NBA is they do not want you to do what the Utah Jazz, Washington Wizards, and Charlotte Hornets did last year. And they've built an entire system to try to not make it advantageous. And it wasn't as advantageous as it could have been. So, yes. The NBA has no idea what they're doing. It's completely wrong. No, it's exactly what they wanted to do.
Well, yeah, but I don't know about that because the argument is to prevent it or make it stupid to tank, and next year we'll have the same teams tanking again. So why is it so great?
Right. Yeah, no, 100%, right? I don't know the answer here, and there's some landscape things in the league that are changing that are making it. So with free agency really no longer being a viable way to build a roster other than really rare occasions, so then all of a sudden there's really only two ways to build your roster. One is you trade, but since you're good, you don't want to trade your good players, so you're trading your draft assets for players. And the only other thing you do is you trade your players, if you're not trying to be good anymore, to those teams who are trying to be good for draft assets, which then makes your draft asset more important. These are the only two ways right now to build a roster in the NBA, and so I don't have a good answer for you. I'm not saying they're right. I'm just saying the argument that the league is fixed. This is all the shows how. No, this is exactly what the league wants to have happen. This is exactly it.
Then throw it open and. There is no lottery. All 32 teams are in the lottery.
Well, there are only 30.
30. You know that.
He's anticipating Vegas and Seattle.
Put them all in. That would be a TV show.
That would be interesting. Are you weighing it at all, or are they all even?
No. Everybody has the same equal chance. And televise it.
Why not just go to the wheel?
Whichever way you want to, whatever word you want to use, and televise. Don't do it in some other room. Televise it live as it happens.
Can you do? Could you build a system? I'm making this up as we go along, where you cannot have the same pick.
Yeah,
within
if you want
X amount of years, without X amount of years. I was going to say 30, but then by the end of it, on the 30th year, you just have everybody slotted into a pick they haven't had. And basically by the 29th, you have the same thing. So it would probably not work. But you have something where every 10 years you cannot draft the same position you've already been drafted in?
I'm not so concerned about that because we've seen players get drafted. Kwame Brown, Olowokandi, Wiseman here by the Warriors recently. Just because you have a high pick, Cantor with the Jazz, doesn't mean you're going to get a good player. They can screw it up.
Yeah, I mean, there's a real catch-22 here, right? That on one level you don't want people tanking, so you've made it disadvantageous or less advantageous. And then on the other side, you go present this model of everyone has an equal chance in the draft, and teams say, well, how do we possibly rebuild? So there's a total catch-22, and no answer seems to be a good one.
Isn't Detroit one of the teams that dropped from 1 to 5 one year? I mean, this happened multiple times.
Multiple times to Detroit.
Right,
yeah.
And they rebuilt anyway. Look at them now. They're a playoff team. They're good. They've got good young players.
So virtually everyone that goes and tanks for 2 or 3 years ends up in the playoffs. Almost everyone. The teams that we quote talking about not doing it didn't actually go down far enough. Sacramento lived between 6 and 10 all those years. But Washington has been an incompetent franchise in regards to winning. Did make the playoffs with John Wall and Bradley Beal for a few years. Almost every single team that has had a top 5 pick or finished in the bottom 5 in the standings for 3 years in a row makes the playoffs. There were 7 of the 16 teams this year that would fall under that qualification in this year's playoffs.
Do you think they're going to draft 5th, or do you think they're going to trade up into the, not the first spot, but 2nd or 3rd and get somebody that they really value?
So I think there's something really interesting. 3, 4, 5 all have, there's 5 really good players in this draft. So the Jazz are getting a really, really good player. And in my opinion, this is not universal, I don't have Jeremiah Fears in that list, and I don't have Con Knipple in that list, so I have Trey Johnson, Ace Bailey, and VJ Edgecombe as the 3 players after Cooper and Dylan Harper. And so if the Jazz have one of them that they think is dramatically better than the others, and they offer Philadelphia the 21st pick, can they get the 3? That seems like a reasonable trade to me. If I'm Philadelphia and I've got tax problems, and I don't have one of the 3 guys that I think is dramatically better, that's the key right there. Philadelphia can't believe the same thing. And I can get another player 21 and have Philadelphia's got some roster money issues. Maybe I'm willing to do that. If I'm Charlotte and there's let's say Ace Bailey goes and we really believe that VJ Edgecombe or Trey Johnson or Jeremiah Fears is an elite level player, and we offer the 21st pick to Charlotte, the other guy, and Charlotte doesn't believe the same thing, seems like that's a really reasonable trade.
Yeah, I can buy that. I don't know that we necessarily needed the results of the lottery to confirm this, but since it was the 5th pick, what's your level of, of confidence, but maybe conviction that the record and the playing time and all that we saw in the 24-25 season will reflect almost the same point in the 25-26 season?
Who are you? I didn't follow who were. I thought you were heading toward our draft pick.
Yeah.
Who are you referring to in regards to play? Oh, I think our draft pick will play 30 minutes tonight.
Right. So the results that we saw on the floor this year will mirror what we see next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Meaning they have to go through at least one more draft before they can start to think about making a move.
Yeah, people get really mad at me when I say this, but hopefully 2 more.
2 more?
What? I'm about to get really mad at you, David.
My point is, if you start down this road, the worst thing you can do is bail out.
Yeah, I agree.
So the teams that have bailed out, that almost has never worked. So you do this for a few years, and you start adding pieces around with veterans that are ready to play and bring support, and then the next step is the really hard one. The one after that is then you got to, like Houston did this for 3 years. They have a bunch of pieces now. Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks are probably not championship pieces, and I'm not sure. I think Amen Thompson's pretty special. I think he's going to be like Giannis. So they probably have their guiding star for the future, but their next step in building is really hard. Detroit has Jaden Ivey. They have Jalen Duren. They have Cade Cunningham. They have Asor Thompson. They've got their 4 guys. They did Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr. That's not an answer. They got to do something different and build this thing around their guiding star, Cade Cunningham. They're in this now. They're in the most difficult stage. Orlando's done it with Paulo and Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs. They added Contavious Caldwell-Pope fairly unsuccessfully. We'll see what they do next. They need to do something, and they're pretty inactive. Memphis did it with Desmond Bain, John Morant, J.R. Jackson Jr., and then they screwed up. Went after Marcus Smart, might have derailed the whole dang thing. So that's the model. It's difficult, and it gets harder as time goes on.
When you say 2 more years of this, do you mean resting 23-year-olds because they're good enough to help you win and they're afraid they might win the game? Or are you talking about being super committed to young players and that just naturally leads to, 25 and 57 seasons?
I mean the latter.
Okay.
I think if we start a roster next year, if our starting lineup next year is Keontae George, Trey Johnson, Taylor Hendricks, he's back, Lowry Markkinen, and Walker Kessler. That's where we start the year. That probably doesn't win a lot of games.
Understood. Is there anything that can be done now? I mean, having the lottery for everybody is probably extreme, and they'll never really do that. But can they do anything that can wait? Because they're not going to eliminate tanking. It's the curse of basketball in that all these other drafts, maybe football is the exception too, but football is such a big numbers game that a 4th-round pick can be extremely valuable to you. And if you have multiple 3rd-round picks, they get all excited because of the number of bodies that you need to compete. But in basketball, guys can come in at the top of the draft or wherever they're drafted if they're good enough and make such a huge difference that the draft, it takes on such a level of importance that I'm not sure is there in the other sports. But you wonder, because it's so arbitrary, and then you can have big time results that can last for a long time. And I'm looking at San Antonio. They win the lottery when you got Robinson and Duncan there, and then they get a number 1 pick, and then 2 years later they get a number 2 pick. And it's so random in a sense, but yet it could be so helpful to the franchise and devastating to the people that are to teams that are competing with them. Can there be anything done that, like you were talking about, that you can't get another pick so high, or can they weight the system differently to somehow make it? I don't know that there's any answers to it, but it just seems that I don't want San Antonio to luck into Robinson and Duncan and then get Wembanyama and then 2 years later get a 2nd pick. And who knows if Dylan Harper might be the greatest thing since whatever. And we're looking at another great run by them. And what did they do to get that? They lost. It just doesn't seem right.
So I agree with you. And the Spurs' propensity for luck is a little overwhelming. We're in the epicenter of it right now, so it feels very, very, I think for us, what I kind of keep going back to, like if you're the league and you're trying to fix something, and we keep going back to that kind of concept, as though something's broken and has to be fixed, like it's broken to us right now as Utah Jazz fans because of the fact that we didn't get the number 1 pick. It's probably broken to Washington Wizards fans, but I'm not sure it's actually broken the league at all.
It doesn't have to be broken. Can't they improve it, though?
But I think you'd have to get them to understand what are they, like, I don't think it's bad for the league that Cooper Flagg went to Dallas.
No, it's great for the league that he goes to a big market team. That's the point. They have a 1.8% chance.
It's actually good for the league that he went to a good team. Like, he could go to Washington, D.C., which is a mammothly big market, but if he's just dueling on a team that's not any good, that's not great for the league.
Yeah, I don't know that this was great for the league. I don't know that this was great for Dallas. I mean, in the short run, sure, but he's teamed with a 32 and a 33-year-old. The 32-year-old is routinely injured. The 33-year-old just tore his ACL. I think this could lead to Dallas being stuck in the middle, and We got new ownership. We don't know how well run that franchise is or isn't going to be. We got the Doncic trade, which seems like a pretty big red flag, but it's still just one moment.
Yeah, back to PK's point, I guess you have to, from a league standpoint, you got to figure out what you really think is broken. And I just don't think that it's, even this year when we were going through whatever, the tank, whatever you want to call it, and everyone was like, oh, they can't have this, it's terrible. Not sure it was that bad for the league, right? It's not great for the Utah Jazz on that moment, and certainly the lottery wasn't very good for the Utah Jazz. But when we talk about trying to fix something or change it, it has to be bad for the league. And I don't think that what's going on right now in any of this is actually that bad for the league.
Then why'd they fine him if it wasn't so bad for the league?
I think that was a shot over the bow to make sure it didn't get any worse.
Okay, well, if it's worse, that means it's got to be bad.
Yeah, no, well, the league. Okay, so that was not good for the league, and the league fined him. Right? So that's an example of, yes, the league deemed that as bad, and they took action. I'm not sure the league sees what we're talking about as bad and worthy of taking action.
I think in these discussions, it's best to just follow the money. And the TV networks and streaming services just gave the league $76 billion over 11 years. So the league's doing just fine. And I would say for people, worried about the whole, how does a small market rebuild? Oklahoma City, Indiana, Minnesota, these are not glamorous places or massive markets, and they're doing just fine in the playoffs.
Right, we really we're about to have Indiana, Oklahoma City, and hope not. Go Denver. But we're about to have Indiana, Oklahoma City, and Minnesota as the three of the four final teams. It's pretty hard to argue that market size is dictating performance.
Yeah, I don't know that people are arguing that. That then you get into the real big time conspiracy theory. I don't know that they're just fine is good enough. They want every last dollar.
That's true. Yes, they do.
but to the dollar point, which I don't disagree with at all, the TV networks gave all the money, I don't even know if they're TV networks anymore, right?
Streaming services, yeah.
The services gave the league all this money. If Charlotte, Washington, and Utah are losing lots of games, that has zero impact on the streaming services.
Yeah, I understand that.
Right.
But you're still trying to grow. You don't want to stagnate.
Absolutely. There's going to be another negotiation one day,
right.
And there's already a commissioner, and there are multiple clubs thinking about that. And you want to win. Winning's fun. It's just great.
I'm literally texting Alan Horton, the Timberwolves play-by-play announcer, last night asking if I can do stats for them if Denver beats Oklahoma City. I like Alan a lot, but I don't like him enough to go to Oklahoma City. So I'd go to Denver. But I'm literally trying to figure out how I'm going to a Western Conference final game if Minnesota's playing Denver. It's amazing. I'm watching that game last night just going, God, I want to be there so badly. So, I'm with you. But, we're trying to have a reasonable conversation about fixes and this and that and broken. We got to get out of the lens of just looking at it from the Utah Jazz. We're trying to fix the league. We got to look at it from the league. I don't think it's broken.
Do you like any of these players more than others at 5?
So I really think Ace Bailey has a chance to be really, really, really good. I really like Trey Johnson. I got to tell you what, watching this year versus last year is just an incredible difference. Last year, literally, you're watching players and you are grasping for the tiniest, littlest. If you remember, I came on the air with you last year talking about how much I liked Cody Williams. The true plays I liked best by Cody Williams were turnovers. Literally turnovers. He burst through a double team, split the double team with an explosion, one threw the ball into the third row of the stands across the way, and the other way he lost control of the ball in the dribble. And I thought those were signs of that he was better than other players in the draft. That's literally how brutal watching players was last year. This is so different. These guys are all and the numbers are so different. The numbers on there's very few players that red flag. The BYU kid red flags on shooting, but very few kids red flag. Last year, every Stephen Castle red flag. And I'm still not sure. Stephen Castle won Rookie of the Year. I'm still not sure. Like, if I'm San Antonio, I'm off him. They can't have De'Aaron Fox and Stephen Castle in their backcourt. You can't have two guys shooting 30% from three. So, this is such a different ballgame. This is Trey Johnson is going to score 20 points a game in the NBA. I'm certain of it. VJ Edgecombe is just a world-class athlete. Like, the comp is Victor Oladipo, and I don't think it's a terrible comp. Comps are never right, but it's not a terrible comp. So I think those three kids, Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe, and Trey Johnson, are all terrific, and so one of them's going to be there at 5. I probably like Trey Johnson and Ace Bailey a little bit more than I like VJ Edgecombe, but VJ, you guys saw him. I mean, he torched BYU. Everyone saw that one up close and personal. That's your fifth pick. That doesn't seem too terrible.
Well, David, we're going to leave it right there for now. We will talk to you again next week, let you take a deeper dive into some of the draft possibilities. We'll talk to you then. Have a good week. Thanks.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
DJ PK, when we come back, Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach, joins us next. Stay with us.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
I will say I do think the Jazz probably do need to make a shift away from what they have been doing the last 3 years, which is this scatter shot acquisition of talent, hoping to get the number one guy, and not really having any path forward towards team building. Of just, let's try a little bit of everything, which is, I think, of what they've been doing, and I totally understand it. Like we said, you've just kind of got a couple of chips on number 6 and a couple of chips on 9 and one on black and whatever. You're just trying to win somewhere. If that is what it looks like again next year, I think you're really going to test the fan base, and I'm curious if they have the stomach for it, which again, I think you can accomplish what you accomplished this year in a different method that might win over the fans a little bit better. I might narrow that down and reorganize my gamble or my investment approach.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We're joined by RSL head coach Pablo Mastroeni. Pablo, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Pablo, congratulations on calling your shot. You have done it again. Early this season, when the team was giving up 3-4 goals in different games, and you were asked about the defense, you said, well, there's some things working against us right now, and we're going to get that ironed out. And sure enough, you don't have some of the schedule problems you had earlier, and you've only given up 5 goals in the last 5 games, despite injuries and suspensions and all that. Whoever goes out there seems to defend pretty well. So congrats on that. That's no small feat. And at a goal a game, that would put you in the elite in the league if you could sustain that. So that's really good. But then to the other end of the field, you have not made any bold proclamations about fixing the attack and how many goals are scored. And I assume that is just much more complicated, and maybe you aren't convinced you have all the pieces of the puzzle to fix that in the way the fan base would really like to see it operating.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I think defensive is really a collective mindset mentality, right? And I always talk about defending starts with the guys up front. And when you got 11 guys committed, it's very difficult, to score goals. And what you need to score goals are players to unlock defenses, right? And so I think to your point, I think we're still, trying to get Willie up to speed. I think Willie's a guy that can create goals. For himself and for his teammates, both by his movement in the box for himself and the movement in the box to create space for his teammates. And then the other part is, we're just still in the process of putting Diogo in the best position to be able to get more goals and set up more plays. And being more selfish in and around that area where it doesn't always have to just pass the ball across the top, but we need to shoot and take more shots. And those are personal characteristics of players. I think last year we had, 2 guys in Chicho and Andreas that were just, it didn't matter where they received the ball, they were putting it on frame. And more times than not last year, we ended up scoring goals. And so I think it's a combination between game model, which is basically how we play in the attack and how we want to find our players in dangerous areas. But at the end of the day, you have to execute, and you have to be able to play in really, really tight spaces to score the goals. And at the moment, we're getting, last game we were inside their 18 quite a bit. nothing came out of it. And so just that polish on the tip of the spear that we need to get right. But a lot of that has to do with individual characteristics. And so, that's something that we're always talking about. We're always in conversation about. I think that might take a little bit more time. But in the meantime, if you can hold a sturdy defense, you put yourself in any game. And the other part too, DJ, is, this year we haven't scored an offensive set piece goal. And that's an area where, regardless of who we have as a poacher up front, we've got to be able to find mechanisms to unlock that statistic.
How successful can you be in this league if you built the team around defense?
I think you can be successful. I think you can, but then you have to build it differently, PK. I think Minnesota is a good example of this, where they're a team that have 30% possession, which is something that I couldn't do because I think the game is really enjoyed with the ball. But they go about it their way. They get 11 guys behind the ball. They defend for large periods of time, but their roster is full of players that are 6'1" and taller. And so all they do is they set up for set pieces, and they got two jets up front that are really fast that can play in transition. So that you almost have to build your team that way. Right. If you're going to say we're not going to have the ball. Fortunately, we're not. We're a team that's built to play with the ball, to create a lot of chances. But unfortunately, we just haven't had the guy up front this year, other than Diego Luna, who's gone beyond his reach of scoring goals. Right. Like, this is not his normal space. We need one or two other guys. And unfortunately, at the moment, we don't have those players. But that's what we're working towards.
When you said William Agata is going to create space, I couldn't help but think of the goal that Diego Luna scored in Dallas, which was great. And a moment of individual brilliance, right? A shot is blocked and the ball falls to him. But the thing I noticed is there were three guys there. The third one wasn't totally committed to defending him, but there were three guys in the area, and two guys definitely knew who he was. They knew what he wanted to do. They knew which foot he wanted to do it with. And the fact that he went to his less preferred left foot and, kind of prodded and poked and tried to figure out, okay, where is the space here? And then got that shot off. That was incredible. But you can't expect that. And the fact the other team, this isn't a game where, you got to play a zone and then have like man principles inside that because there's so much space. So I can't say that they're going to double and triple team him everywhere he goes, and yet there are often two or three people not far away. So you got to do something else because you can't keep counting on this from him, can you?
No, you can't. And that's why, the last game as well, and the last few games is, so we're set up to break down the middle. And then once we get down the middle, obviously your wide areas are going to be free to play balls in. And I think you've seen it in the last couple of games, whether it's Gozo or Alex or Dom, is we get in good crossing positions. And so just based upon our game model, the easiest way for us to score goals is breaking them down the middle, sucking them in, playing it out wide, and then getting into the box. But what's been happening, DJ, is either the timing of the run is a split second off, or the delivery isn't in the correct spot to be able to take advantage of that moment. So the last couple of weeks, we've been working on that, literally the last 20 yards of the field, and how we want the runs in the box to be, and how and how we want those crosses delivered. Or no, not how we want them delivered, but how the players should think about delivering the ball. Is it behind the defense because the defense is turning towards their own goal and there's space to play it in behind? Or is it getting to the end line and then cutting it back to a trailing midfielder or a trailing 10? So that is the way that we can score goals. And the other part too is when you put in dangerous crosses, it can rebound off people's legs and backs and whatever. And because we have numbers in the box, we gain percentages as far as scoring goals. So that's really been an area of focus because you're absolutely right. It's impossible to continue to rely on Diego making plays like he did in Dallas in order for us to score goals.
So you mentioned Gozo multiple times. He's 18 years old. Wow, that's so young. How do you coach him to make sure everything's okay?
At this moment, PK, I've stayed away, right? I'm not one of these guys that has to be involved in all these different things. But when I see the characteristics of what a good pro looks like, I just stay away and let him be, right? It's the moment that either, his ego starts getting too big for him, or he starts, doing something that's a little bit different, then I'll help bring him back in and do these things. But right now, and Goza went through one of those times, late last year in preseason, where he thought he made it because he was with the first team and he was training with us and we were in preseason, and had a conversation with him about just being humble. And the reason why you're here is because you're an unbelievable athlete and you're a great teammate and you work your tail off. And so don't think of it anything bigger than that. And what we're going to do in the next couple of years is really refine those tools, the 1v1 aspects, the crossing aspects, the shooting aspects. And so he's been all in on those three parts of his game and has improved drastically. But he's done that whilst giving the team a great effort, commitment, great defending, great speed, and a threat behind. So he's a bright young man. He's a hungry young man, and now he's getting his real first feel of first team football and doing great with it. But for as much as I'd like to take credit, it's always about the players. PK, these guys, either you have that ability to overcome those moments when you're not playing and stay in the game and stay focused and stay committed, so that when your opportunity comes, like his did against San Diego, he takes it and he runs. And now we have player decisions to make with him and Dom, right? And so now we've created competition. And when we talk about, winning through development, this is exactly what it looks like. Is one guy was flying, the other guy wasn't even on the radar. All of a sudden, this guy's on the radar. The other guy's saying, what about me? And when you say, what about me, is when you start teaching about, mental fortitude and how to overcome these moments and what you should focus on, as opposed to why, when am I going to get my chance? It's to double down on the work Tuesday through Friday. And to be fair, Dom has been fantastic at that as well. So there's a lot of good things going on, but there's a lot of teaching that has to go on as well with these younger players.
You have a habit of giving the answers to the test, and I always wonder how much players see and how much they hear and really absorb, whether it's a film session, a training session, during the game with Gozo. And you always talk about, I want the attackers to defend, I want the defenders to attack, right? You got to be a complete team. Mm-hmm. And an attacker who doesn't defend, I don't know if it bothers you as much as it bothers Jason Kreis, but it bothers both of you a lot. I mean, it bugs you both a lot. So there's a moment late in the game, and everybody's tired, right? They've been running for 75 minutes, and Portland has a throw-in right in front of your bench. And everyone's, I don't know, they're kind of standing around, quite frankly. And they throw it in, and Gozo runs at the guy, and he takes a bad touch, and Gozo runs at him some more, and the guy basically just kicks it out of bounds. It wasn't the most glorious moment for whoever it was. I don't remember. And Gozo's momentum carries him out of bounds. As he turns and runs back in, you reach out and slap him on the butt. Do you think that players in that moment, like, he's not kidding, that 18-year-old is running and defending like it's the 5th minute of the game and it's the 75th minute? It's like you gave them the answer to the test, but do you think, how many people get that?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. And that's because, again, I think what I'll say about defending in pro sports is it's the one thing that is team. It's the most selfless act. Because everyone enjoys playing soccer because we have the ball. Everyone enjoys the ball. Everyone hates not everyone hates defending, but it's like secondary, tertiary. Like, you don't play soccer to defend. You play soccer to attack and win games. However, what I've learned in my experience as a soccer player is that defending the right way kills morale. It stifles attacking plans for your opponents. It breeds doubt into their game plan. And so the more repetitive actions we have defensively where we're winning balls, the players don't realize it, but our team's now going to dictate the game with the ball, with how they like to play, with the spirit that they like to play with. But it doesn't come without the graft. And so you can't, it's like everything else in life. Like, you got to work hard to enjoy life. Like, you just don't, vacation is not vacation unless you're grafting, right? So, like, those are the things that I'm trying to, and I think that's what we've done in probably the last 5 or 6 games, is double down on the defending piece. One, we were giving up a lot of goals, so we weren't changing any mindsets for our opponents, and on top of that, we weren't scoring any goals either. So if we can just focus in on as a team everyone doing their job in this particular phase of the game to win the ball back. And what I've learned as a player too, DJ, was if you know how you're going to win the ball back, then the game is always easy defensively. It's easier to buy into. When it's like, you guys win the ball, and there's no instruction as to what our principles are, then it just becomes this game where you're just getting rotated left to right before the team penetrates you down the middle. So defending is a very huge aspect of the game. It's probably the most boring aspect from a fan perspective, but it's so critical to affecting psychology for both teams.
So when that's going against you, though, and the other team is doing all the things that you just said, and critical and psychological and all, how do you get your guys from the offensive standpoint not to get down?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think there's moments, and we talk about oftentimes, PK, we'll do a video session, and it's not about a particular play. It's more about the feeling of these 5 minutes, right? And what's the feel look like? And how do we, there was a game a couple weeks back where they turned up the screws in the second half. I forget what game it was, and they were putting a lot of pressure on us, and they kept, running after the ball. And what we kept doing is playing into the speed that they wanted to play at. So we started, they pressed us, the ball went out of bounds. We did a quick throw, and then they pressed us again, and then we kicked the ball long. And so in that little 5-minute segment, we talked about how do you slow the game down? If they want to speed it up, we have to slow it down, right? If they want to slow it down, let's speed it up. And so it's like golf, right? It's a game of opposite. You want the ball to go up in the air, hit down on the ball.
Yeah.
And so it's these same principles, the universal principles that happen in all sports and life, and they become teaching moments as to how we're going to get momentum back when a team is defending us really well. If they're defending us and they're going really slow and they're being really, they're willing to rotate, well, then let's rotate them 3 or 4 times before we penetrate down the middle. It's, if they're coming at us fast, let's slow the game down, look for our pivot, switch the point of attack, and make them run, right? So it's just identifying moments. And more importantly, it's not about one individual. It's about the collective understanding how to overcome this moment when momentum is not on your side.
So you think I should hit down on the ball, huh?
I think you should quit.
Yeah, well, only if you want it to go up. Only if you want it
Only
to go up.
if you want it to go up.
If you want to skull it, just try to hit under it. The bounce will hit the ball and you'll blade it across the like I often do.
That's always fun.
That's always fun. I love to be off the back of the green with another downhill chip, line 4, thinking, how am I going to make double bogey
And then as
here?
that ball is just sculling across, which is a second and a half, seems like it's 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It doesn't stop.
It's never going to stop.
I might as well write down an 8 now and get to the cart.
There you go.
That's right. It's always tough when you're yelling 4 from the back of the green because you play with
All right, Pablo, we appreciate the time. Good luck in Colorado. We didn't ask you about facing your old team. You've done enough. We just let it go. You're welcome.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach, former Colorado Rapid star and former Colorado Rapid head coach, but done this a few times now. Brian Taylor, Real Golf Radio co-host, is going to join us at the top of the hour. PGA Championship. He's at Quail Hollow. We'll talk with him in about 15 minutes. Stay with us.
Accessing.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
Kurt Heelan from NBC Sports and ProBasketballTalk.com.
Ultimately, if you're in a market this size, you need a break. And this lottery did not give it to you. And it hasn't under this new system. I mean, look, Detroit turned it around this year because they'd gotten the number 1 a few years back with Cade, and they made some smart moves around him. But this is the 3rd straight year the team with the worst record has fallen to 5th. The league has to reconsider how they're doing this lottery. I get that this was a reaction to the tanking of the 76ers and the process. But if the team that's got the worst record keeps landing this deep, it's not okay. They need to do something to give these teams like Utah that are not perpetually trying to lose and give them a chance.
Catch Hans and Scotty weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I'm going to try to do this without cheating, but I got it right here just in case. Nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at KSLSports.com. /contest. And then listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week. And it's sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals.
It's an admirable effort.
I'd give it a B-. I got work. I'm never satisfied. I'm such a perfectionist. Oh, my gosh.
Question of the morning. Do you want the Jazz to make a move to get Egor Demin?
I do.
Travis, I don't like BYU, but I absolutely love Egor.
I don't like.
I'd love for the Jazz to get him.
I don't like Egor, but I love BYU.
Travis is on board. Egor.
I want to see Egor, literally.
Demin has bust written all over him.
No, he don't. I want to see him stacking paychecks.
Eric, depends on which pick. Definitely not with a 5th pick. Now, if they can move up with that other pick, then I'm not opposed.
Okay.
Can they turn reasonable. 21 into 11 or 13 or 9 or something?
Yeah, I think they can if they really want to. To what spot? I'm not sure, obviously, but I know that they can move up if they were so inclined to do it and felt like it was very important to do that. Yeah.
Monica, yes. And whoever we get needs to like Utah. We lost Gobert because he didn't like Utah. Donovan Mitchell, too. That's Travis. You do realize Rudy still has a place in Utah, right? And he absolutely loves it here. He does, and no, Monica does not realize that.
She just assumed that Mitchell was another story. He had bright lights. He was Hayward. He wanted the bright lights.
Bright lights.
Yeah.
Big city, mega team.
Yeah, and he didn't really get it. But I mean, you're in the NBA making millions. I don't want to hear it.
So now people are posting pictures with Gobert around town where Gobert's smiling. He's got his arm around him. Yeah. And Gobert talked about it when he was here. He did it in his media interview thing that the whole team went to his place the night before the Wolves played the Jazz.
Yeah, we understand that. Yeah. I saw where Egor said that he can see himself living here.
Let somebody else draft him and then bring him back.
Well,
next door to Travis Hansen.
He mentioned Travis. Mm-hmm. This guy and
he and Travis, their families are tight. Yeah. I mean, Travis might as well be his uncle
for sure.
Yeah,
if they were Polynesian, he would be.
Well, they're not.
As our good friend Jack when he says, "That's my uncle."
Yeah, everybody. I can't keep track. I don't think that's an issue. And if we got Egor on a Jazz this year, Delaney Gibb would be at the games. Oh yeah, Lee Kamard might have to come up.
Now you're just random name dropping people, seeing if you get
it's the coach. You're not random name dropping.
You are, because you're dropping names. You're trying to see if you get people to text you during the show. You've done it before, and it works. It's hilarious. Everybody's like, PK's a grump. Nobody likes PK. Yeah, except a bunch of people in power, a bunch of athletic directors, a bunch of assistant athletic directors, a bunch of head coaches, coordinators, and assistant coaches. But other than that, nobody likes you. And you have name drop people until they text you. And they do.
I'm just looking for ways to help the ball club and the experience.
You are so full of it.
It would be great for BYU, too.
You were looking for ways to entertain you.
Why not? You got to entertain yourself to get through life, right?
I agree.
It's hard enough.
Let's not pretend you're doing anything else.
It would be a shot in the arm for BYU's basketball program. Hey, look at one of our guys. Look what we did our first year and right up the street. And then he'd be in the news. I think he has the potential to be a heck of a player, which is what matters the most. All the jokes and all that.
That size, if he can shoot, and it's not the whole boom or bust. If he shoots 25%, yikes, right? And if he shoots 40%, he's going to be an all-star multiple times. But could he just get to where he shoots, 36% from three? Just kind of a keep you honest kind of shot.
That's the goal, yeah.
Right, and if he has that, then with everything else he's got, he's going to be helping you, whichever team has him.
Agreed.
You can't deny the 6'9", the vision, and the thing I would try to double team guys.
The way he got his hands on deflections and stuff.
Yes, he shrinks the court at the defensive end. You just play defense, you just stick your arms out and you start taking away passing lanes.
Right.
And then when they try to double him, if he can't be guarded, you try to double him, he just passes over the top.
Yeah.
It's so easy when you're that tall. There's so many easy answers that aren't available to mere mortals. Now, he's got to be able to shoot it, and that's But we've seen other players figure that out.
Shooting for him becomes the word enough.
Right.
He's got to be able to shoot it and make it enough. He can't be a bricklayer out there.
Reed, sure, draft him, then send him to the minors at BYU. This is a Cougar fan trying to get him back. Option him back to the
We've
college
loaned
game.
him back to Provo.
Yeah, I loaned him back. Optioned him out.
Oh, they've already stacked paychecks on another guy.
Jared, he's not even ready, so the Jazz will probably go for it. Man, there are
who
people
is ready?
so down. Well, Cooper Flagg might be ready.
Yeah, right.
But beyond
right.
but beyond that, everybody, even Dylan Harper, who everybody's in love
That's
with.
why we wanted the number one pick for the team, because we believe that Flagg can come in.
And whatever Flagg does, he's still going to be a better player in 5 years. So
even that.
Yep. Brian Taylor, Real Golf Radio. He is at Quail Hollow for the PGA Championship. We're going to talk with him next. Got some big names buried on the leaderboard day one, but big names making moves day two. We'll get to that next. Stay with us.